Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, September 11th, 2023, and I had a miscommunication with starting the live stream. Hope it didn't mess up anybody. I'm a tiny bit late, but it's how things go sometimes, right? I hope you all had a good weekend, and also I do want to mention, of course, what today means for pretty much all of us, and that is a remembrance of September 11th, 2001. Yeah, yeah, 22 years ago. And, you know, there's uh, you can't say there's good and bad that came from that day, but there really was bad events, good things, responding people, America coming together and trying to take care of ourselves and everything else. And, it's one of those days that we'll never forget. I know for me, I was at work at Delta, sitting at my desk, and I remember, seeing the news saying that, the plane had hit the first tower. Now, of course, being in the airline industry and going, well, that's not right. That should never happen. And of course, then the second one hit, and it was at that point that I decided, I don't need to be here right now, and I ended up leaving. I said, I'm gone. I'm out of here, and so I left, and I drove because some of us maybe have more of a survivor mode instinct type of thing. And so, not knowing what was happening or what was going to happen, I drove straight to Northern Tools. And that was about 15, 20 minutes drive. And I drove straight to Northern Tools and I bought a generator. Never had a generator before. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have a generator. And I went right there and bought a pretty good size, portable generator. I also bought two 6-gallon gas cans. And I thought, I'm going to have a generator and I'm going to have some gas because I don't know what's happening. I don't know. And from there, I drove to the local Quick Trip gas station. And when I was at Northern, the third plane had hit. And so I was like, oh, I got to go, get out of here. So I went to the local Quick Trip gas station. I filled up both gas cans. I filled up my truck and I drove home and basically waited. You know, that was a very, very stressful time for all of us. And for the airline industry and somebody who watches the sky constantly, it was shocking, let's say, to not hear or see airplanes in the sky. You know how that is. If you're used to something, whether it's automotive sounds or animal sounds or something along those lines, and then suddenly it's not there, whew, it messes with you. And that's kind of what it did for me anyway. So we all know how things transpired afterwards and all that sort of thing. But there was some real impressive things that happened with America at that time. Everybody wanted to fly a flag. Everybody wanted to talk to their neighbors, and of course, from there, it seems like it's kind of gone back, maybe worse than what it was prior to that. Let's be honest. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on around the world, and even in our own country. But anyway, just my little insight into this day 21 years or 22 years ago. Sorry. And, at that time also, I think my oldest son, he was about 10, would have been about 10 at that time. So it's hard to explain stuff like that to your kids and try to make some sense of it. But anyway, let's move on and let's talk about cars. Now, if you are new to my live stream, then what we end up doing is we try to focus on classic cars, mid 50s to mid late 70s, something like that. And generally, we have good discussions. We have questions brought up, and I encourage everybody to be involved. If you want to bring up a question, by all means, I don't care what it is, car related, obviously. Bring it up. Sometimes we talk about food. Sometimes we talk about movies, and sometimes we just go all kinds of different tangents, but the focus is on cars. Now, if you do have a question and you bring it up, I try to answer it. If I can't, there's usually a great group of people over in the chat box, and many times we have gotten some great answers from that group. Now, tonight I may end up adding somebody else into the stream later on, and we'll see how tonight goes and how things are going. Also, my younger son is here, not in here. He's trying to do some work on his car, so he may be actually coming in and out and grabbing some tools while we're doing this live stream. So if you hear somebody coming in and walking around, it's going to be my younger son. And it's fine with me if he wants to come in and get tools, that's fine. The plan was we were going to do some work on his car, and we thought he was going to be here earlier in the day, and he showed up about 5 minutes before the stream started. So that's kind of why I'm a little bit off on the timing. So if you all do participate, you get a reward bell just because. All right, so let's see who's here. First in is Lynn. Cobra Jet's looking good. You have mad skills. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Charles checking in. Lynn, you're absolutely right. I could not have found a more perfect fit for my project. Everybody, please like, thumbs up, subscribe, and please share the incredible talent Barry has. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Terry Keithley. Evening, Barry and everyone. Please hit the like and thumbs up for Barry. Hand pink waving. I'm guessing there's a hand. Maybe that's my signal. I'm Thank you, Terry. Crash Rider, greetings from Southern Indiana to everyone, and big thank you to Charles Busby providing a vehicle that is being rebuilt by thinking outside of the box rather than the normal AM replacement. Thank you, Crash Rider. Charles says, thank you, appreciate it. It sometimes seems that my vision isn't being received very well. I do think in the end it will be. Many thanks. Crash Rider, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Yes, by all means. I talked about it, I think last week, that I think YouTube in a sense has done a thing called shadow banning what I'm doing. And I really do believe that. And part of that, again, tells me when I see my videos come up and it says more of your regular viewers are watching this. Now, to put it in perspective, I have, 64,000 subscribers, maybe 65, somewhere around that number. And the way I look at it, honestly, if I'm going to have that many subscribers, I feel like I should have at least, ideally, that many views, right? But generally I get 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 if I'm lucky. And I don't know why people aren't continuing to check in. So I know everybody that's here is my regular crew, which is fantastic. And I don't know if they're not hitting the bell notification button or if they're just not interested in what I'm putting out there, but it's surprising that I have that many subscribers and yet the number is seemingly low over the videos. Now, but when it tells me that more of my regular viewers are watching these videos and not new viewers, that's again, it's like, well, something's not right there. So hopefully that all changes, but it's funny because I go to Facebook forums for Mustangs, and I get like Rick Gain promotes me, and I have other people promote me, and I'll answer questions on there, and everybody will say, yeah, I watch his stuff all the time, and blah blah blah, and yet the numbers just don't work out. So I have some other stuff I'm going to talk about with that and the Mach 1 in just a minute, but let me see who else is here. If I didn't give Crash Rider a bell, he gets a bell. Dave Tyson, good evening, all from 64 and sunny Minnesota. That's very comfortable. Temperatures are going down here, by the way. Crash Rider, your car, your cash, your choice, and your vision. Enough said. Oh, well, good statement. You get another bell. Robert checking in, the Infernal Craftsman, evening all. It's finally not 110 degrees every day. Yes, that is a big plus. Big plus. Hindsight 6-7, Roger. Greetings from next door. Glad to hear Raj. Troy Justin, happy Monday, gang. Grab a drink and get ready to partake of Joe Daddy's wisdom. Thank you, Troy. We'll see how much I can put out. Rick Stevenson, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rick. That's usually my signal to pull up my coffee cup. Look, it's the Joe Daddy's cup. I know I've been using my Brandon cup, but tonight I went with the Joe Daddy's cup. Rick Gain, hi all. Looking forward to some good conversation. Thanks to all that have served our country. Yes, very true. Jerry checking in. Howdy, y'all. Cooler weather makes Robert a nice boy. Have a great stream. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. I don't know what that means. Evans Garage. Hey, I know what Go Bucks means, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I can tell you that. Evans Garage. Hey, Barry. All CJ is coming along nicely. Yes, it certainly is. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening, all. A little rainy in Oklahoma. Well, that's okay. You get it. I know you get it. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit. Thumbs up for the channel. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Raleigh Pacheco. Good evening, all. Good evening, Raleigh. Charles. Some might have seen, but Barry was hampered by traffic and may be late. Yeah. Richard Roar. Evening, all. Thank you, Richard. Mike Seff. Leave a comment. Leave a comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And thank you for doing that. I know you post that on all my videos, and I do appreciate that. I really do. Dawn's Manufactory. Hello, everyone. It's a warm, sunny day. Betsy and I guess, are back from Central Oregon. Our first 300-mile shakedown cruise. Well, that's awesome. And I saw the video. Dawn left a comment on it. So if you haven't seen Dawn's video, I think he went to visit his brother in Central Oregon. And I'm jealous. Dawn's brother has a lot of cool stuff. And has enough room, I guess, in his backyard for a motocross track or something. So I was like, I want to live there. Richard, I saw ABC interviewing firemen live about a block and a half from the building. Couldn't figure out why they had a exercise where all the fire departments were activated on a drill surrounding the buildings. So you're talking about that day, that original day. Yep. It says, then the plane flew over and ABC captured it by swinging camera up and trailing it right into the building from ground zero. That fireman was saying some BS about a gas leak into the sewers drill. Interesting. Dave Britton. Evening, all. Good evening, Dave. Hope all is well. Derek Pro. Hi, Barry, everyone. Hope all is well. The Mustang's looking fantastic, man. You got patience. LOL. Thank you, Derek. And Dave is checking in from the Great White North, Canada. And Derek is checking in from Australia. So we're really on way different tangents there. Jerry, I was in, I don't even know how to say that, Mexico, and was stranded for 7 days during 9/11. Yeah, there were a lot of people stranded. There's some great stories of, what happened with people and being stuck at different places. But yeah, that was very unfortunate. Dave says, what is your son doing to his car? He's got, what is his car? Hyundai. What is it now? I want to say Tiburon, but it's not a Tiburon. It's a little sport coupe, Hyundai. And, right? Yeah, little sport coupe. And he bought a cold air intake online from somebody. And he also has a problem with the splash pan or guard underneath the front of the car. He had driven into some heavy rain, and it pulled the pan loose. So we're trying to get push pins and put it back together. Right now he has zip ties holding it up. But I know he wants to put his cold air intake on. And, we wanted to do this earlier, but he didn't get here till late. He was actually picking us up supper on his way. And so I haven't had a chance to eat. But I have coffee. So we'll see what happens. Richard, he's a flat out madman. Lynn H. Oh, okay. Talking about me, I guess. Mad with patience. Is that what you're saying? Oh, Veloster. Yeah, it's a Veloster. Thank you, Robert. I don't know why I couldn't get the word out. It's a weird name for a car, but it is a Veloster. So yes, thank you. Derek says my latest project is a Subaru Brumby. You guys know them as a Subaru Brat. Very hard to find, rust free now. This one has lumps and bumps, but no rust. I will send pics as it progresses. That's awesome. Um, yeah, the Subaru Brat. Uh, it was a neat concept, and I remember that because you had the seats in the back, and it's a little pickup truck with seats in the back, and they had little grab handles and I think seat belts. So um, it's hard to find those. I have seen some around on occasion, and I'm also, while we're talking, I'm downloading some pictures that Doyle has sent me. So give me just a second while I get these in place. Then I also have some other pictures, I think, from Russ. Oh, okay. Yeah, download those. And I'll have to clear some stuff out of my queue so that we can look at these pictures. Because Doyle's been working on, I think it's his, I think it's a Cutlass. I want to say it's a Cutlass. Um, and he's been fixing rust on it, and he's doing a pretty good job. Let me see what else. I've got a couple others here I can get rid of. The other thing, this past week, Roger and I worked on the dune buggy and got it out and rode it around some. If you don't remember, this is what the dune buggy looks like. So put a carburetor on it, put a kill switch in it, and learned some things about Volkswagens that we probably wouldn't normally even consider. Um, but it is running around and driving, and I may be talking to somebody else about it to have uh, some other work done, because I've had people comment on the video that I posted on Facebook and stuff that it sounds like it is knocking a bit, which somebody said you're supposed to adjust the valves every other oil change or something. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. Don't know. Okay, so let me see if I can pull these up real quick. So we have this picture that Doyle sent me, and that's these they created these pockets and they held water and junk and everything else. So he cut that up and made a patch, and that looks like it's going to do a fine job. Um, the we run into these situations where you have, like his vehicle, they probably don't make those pieces available for patching. And he sent me this one, and that I think is the inner fender. I think it's the inner fender. Yeah, it should be the inner fender area. And again, maybe even where the battery sits. I don't know for sure, but there's that all patched up. So he's doing a good job of getting this thing, together. Um, and then I had these other pictures. Let me see if I can get those going. And then, oops, it says I have too many pictures again. Okay, all right, hang on just a second. That's the problem. I think it only gives me, I don't know how much space, but I can only load so many pictures on at a time. Okay, so Russ sent me this. Now, it's a Studebaker Commander. Well, I think it's a Daytona. I think it says Daytona on the fenders. Has the better trim. But when you look here, you'll see that is a Chevy engine. So they in 65 and 6, they put Chevy engines in these cars. So I'm going to assume that this is a 65, or I don't think it's a 66. The front end isn't right for a 66. So I'm going to say that's a 65. And I think they just put in like 283s. They weren't real, nothing special engines, but they did source them from Chevy. So that's why you'll see them on occasion with Chevy engines in them, and it actually says Studebaker on the valve covers. But it's just a Chevy engine. Just a Chevy engine. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I got to go to Richard. West Coast is at work. West Coast is at work or going home at the moment. Oh, okay. Yeah. Evan, by the way, removed my transition pan. I showed everyone a couple weeks ago with all the damage, and the shock mount had 0 problems. Must have been replaced at some point. Okay, that's great. Rusty, hello Barry, and all from Southern Indiana. Glad you're here, Rusty. And Doyle's checking in as well. Hey all, and happy motoring. Thank you, Doyle. Ed Cucciarella, hello all. Hello Ed, glad you're here. Terry Keithley, thinking of buying the AC TIG 200 so I don't have to switch units. The ARC Captain? Is that what you're saying? Go Buckeyes, Jerry, is what he's saying. It says Jerry in the second part of that. Well, if anybody's interested in buying one of the ARC Captains, I have links in my videos, my recent videos, for discounts and stuff. Rusty sent you a picture of Dayton from a local car show and thought of you. Okay, so that was the Studebakers. Or Studebaker, I should say. Rick, for views, put your LS in Slither. Title of the video, will it run and drive to Florida? Then Charles can take it out. Yeah, that LS engine, I think I've talked about this before. I had a 2001 Chevy Silverado that I bought off a car lot, and it had a rattle. And I thought for sure it had 199,000 miles on it when I bought it. That's what I do. I buy cars it doesn't matter to me. Mileage doesn't matter. So I bought the truck, and then I thought, you know what? There was a junkyard right next to the body shop. And I talked them into selling me the engine and transmission and everything off of the another truck that they had. It only had 80,000 miles on it. And so I bought all that stuff thinking, hey, the engine's going to blow. I'm just going to have this engine ready to go. Well, the engine didn't blow, and I decided to look into it a little harder, and I found that there were 4 lifters were bad. The camshaft wasn't messed up, but the lifters were bad, and or going bad. So I basically, they said you can't do this, but I did it. Pulled the heads off, or the driver's side head off in the truck. And on the LS engines, it's really hard to do that. But I did it. I replaced the lifters, and it kept running. So I never needed the engine. Thing just kept on chugging away. So it's just been sitting there all this time. Richard Lynn was saying at start about your mad skills. Madman was just a comment back about those mad skills. Yeah, see, there's it's hard to keep up with all the comments and stuff. But thank you for that. Dave Britton, how do you ever manage to sleep if you drink a coffee this late? Decaf? Oh, no. No, I always drink leaded coffee. No unleaded for me. Always leaded. It doesn't matter. I can drink several cups of coffee and go to bed. Doesn't even really affect me. Chris, my mother just got a Veloster. Needed to purchase good winter tires for it. Yeah, it's a cool little car, that's for sure. I don't know if you were here earlier, Chris. I'll give you a bell. Chris says, Dave Britton, I can drink a cup and go right to sleep. Yep. Busted Knuckle Garage, Tommy, checking in late. Glad you're here. Nick Moss, hello. Hello, Nick. Hope all is well. I know. I thank you, Nick. I just checked. I was like, I wonder if he sent me some pictures. And he did. So I'm not going to download all of these. I'll get a couple of them. And let me see, maybe that one. So you may end up hearing. I hear my son outside. Um, he may be coming in here shortly. I don't know yet, but that's okay. As long as he wants to work on his car, that's fine with me. I almost was thinking if he had come earlier, we could have put the car in here and kind of worked on it while I was doing the stream. Um, but it was too late. Too late to make all that happen. So, Nick, let me show you. Let me show you Nick's pictures. Check this out. So there's the hood for his Beast. Really like the way that looks. And then here is a fender. And here is a back shot. Not a good back shot, but a back shot showing the tail panel being painted black. I can't wait to see this thing together. I really can't. This thing, it's going to be a killer car. I may even have to go see it in person. That would be cool. Let me go take that down. Thank you, Nick, for sharing those. Let me get back up. Dave Britton, I literally get the shakes after a cup. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yep. Doesn't hit me at all. Richard, if you drink coffee every day at Dave Britton, coffee does not keep you awake. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. Nick, I could drink a 24-ounce Monster Energy and fall asleep. Yeah, I won't even touch that stuff. I won't touch Monster drinks or any of that energy drinks. Just personal opinion. I'm not a fan of that stuff, but I get it. I know a lot of people that can do that because they've just had it so much that it's become like a soda to them. Leo, good evening. Love your videos. I'm finally wrapping up my 65. Just 2 quarter panels and a taillight panel to go. Okay. That's pretty good. Glad you're here, Leo. Nick, okay, sent you some photos, putting pieces back on and glass this week, getting there. Yes. Richard, good evening, Barry. Checking in from Long Island, New York. Yes. And Richard had contacted me earlier in the week. He wants a hat. So I didn't get it in the mail today, but I plan to get it in the mail tomorrow, if not by Wednesday. So it will be coming, just so you know. And thank you for that. Steve Reed, hello, Joe Daddy and everyone. Nice weather here in Paducah, Kentucky. 80 degrees. Okay, awesome. Let's see, Richard, you ever see the early Dodge V8 intakes for a Quadrajet? I don't know if you're talking about like a regular Quadrajet intake or like the dual quads where they were offset and on top of the valve covers. I've probably seen them, but yeah. Doyle, you are correct on the photo. It's a radiator core support where the headlight buckets mounts and the battery tray will remount. Okay, good. Michael is here in Flaherty, Kentucky. Glad you're here, Michael. Rick, big bucks for you tonight. I was just forced to watch an advertisement. Oh, man. Sorry about that. William, how are you coming with your brother's car? It's not the priority right now. So I'm not really doing much of anything. I've walked around it, kind of looked at some things. I've been researching parts on eBay because I'm going to need stuff like rocker panels, and I think they sell some door patch stuff. I do have the fenders for it. I do have the front valance panel. I have some bumpers if I decide to put them on. I haven't made that commitment just yet. And other than that, I'm just casually looking for parts and gathering parts as I go. The plan still is to keep the engine and transmission at this point, and also I plan to put in a Mustang 2 front suspension kit. I'm getting rid of all that crazy steering that it has and the outdated brakes. All that stuff is going to go away, and I will probably I'm considering. I'll have to figure out what my resources are for a steering column, because apparently there's some value to this later version of the steering box and column. I don't know. I don't know if it's Saginaw. I don't know who makes it, but people want those over the older versions. So I may just take all that out because I'm putting in the Mustang 2 will have a rack and pinion setup, and I'm not going to butcher up the original column if somebody else needs it. I don't want to cut it up. So I'll probably find another column, figure that out, get all that in place. But right now I'm just casually gathering parts. I would probably already have the Mustang 2 suspension, but I don't have a place to keep it. I don't have any room. It'll just be in the way right now. But thank you, William. Good question. Terry, me too, Barry. Love coffee with little work. Your brother's studio can look that good. Yeah, it can look better. It's not gonna be a show car. It's not gonna be super nice. It'll be decent. Rick says, tell your son to bring the car in. We'll wait while you move it. Well, there's a bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that would have to get moved to make that happen. Evan says, nice hood, Nick. Is that fiber or metal? And Nick has responded, the fender's hood and front nose pieces are all fiberglass. Thank you, guys. I'm happy for sure. Dave says, looking great, Nick. Troy, thanks for keeping us updated, Nick. Keep the pictures coming. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh. So Ed sent me a depressing photo. I say depressing. Because it would be. Let me just pull that up quick if I can. And we might have Robert on tonight too. I know he's put AC out in his garage, so he's pretty happy about that. So here's the picture Ed sent me. Gas prices in Southern California. Yeah. No, thank you. It's only $2 less here, a little over $2, like $2.50 or no, $3 and like 45 cents or something like that here in Georgia. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Let's see. William says, I've been getting parts for 3 years now for 3 different vehicles. My wife hates me right now. Derek says, sent you some pics via email, RE Subaru. They're not coming. I don't see them. So I don't know where they're at, but they're not showing up, Derek. Mia Westbrook, I second Rick. You should work on your son's car together. Well, yeah. Thank you, Mia. That would be nice, but we had planned to do it earlier. Oh, he's sneaking in now. He's going to try to get some tools. Let me find out what he needs. What do you need? What we got?
Tools here.
Oh, look at that. He's got a tool list. Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. Okay, hold that. So this will be all your sockets and extension attachments. 9/16 wrench. Oh, here, there's the metric wrenches in case you need them. Give me just a minute. Flathead screwdriver, pliers. I don't know which pliers you need. Start with those. All right. Okay. Go see what you can get done. Say hi to everybody. You gotta say hi.
Hello, everyone.
No, give him a second. Come over here.
Oh.
Okay. So everybody, this is my youngest son. This is Jake. He's a firefighter, and Part-time mechanic. Part-time.
Not as good. So
All
I'll
right.
be asking for help probably.
I'm sure. So now you got to see one of my sons. There you go. There's a bell for everybody. Let's see. Terry Keithley says, not now, you're in denial. Okay. Nick, Evans Garage also, that hood is a Shelby high-rise hood. Fair warning, it is solid, but it needed a lot of work. Yeah, they generally do. And it's from Meyer Racing. Yeah. Yeah. They always need work. Always need work. Jerry says, holy mackerel, how much of that gas price is taxed? That's a good question. Richard says California. Yep. California. Michael Pagliarini, hello all, late to the party, working in the garage. Did I hear something about a LS powered Studi? You know, that could be too. That's a possibility. I do want to keep the engine that's in it, but you know, that's not a bad idea. Who would care? Put the LS in it, run and drive just like it is, right? But glad you're here, Michael. Evans Garage, I have a spare hood for my 67 non-GT Signal, thinking of fabricating my own scoop, but don't know if my skills are up to par. Yeah, that can be a challenge to do that. I've seen others, can't think of the guy's name, he's on Instagram. He's got a 67 or 8 that he built his own custom scoop for it. And he just made like took flat metal, made a cardboard template, and then cut the flat pieces to match the cardboard and just welded it together. You know, it was pretty simple, but it turned out really nice. Really nice. Steve Reed, 335 here in Paducah, Kentucky. Yep. Derek, you guys are still cheaper for fuel than we are here. I think we are at $2.40 per liter for diesel and $2.10 for unleaded. So that's like $8 a gallon, if I'm hearing correctly. So I've got a couple pictures now from Derek. And again, the Subaru Brat is hard to find anymore. It's rare that you even see one. I was surprised I actually found some in a junkyard here. Kind of shocking. It's like, but if there's nobody looking for one, or no interest in it, most people don't hold on to that stuff. So Derek has sent me this. Again, in the U.S., that's a Subaru Brat, and I forget what he called it. Brumby. Yeah, Brumby. They have to have different names. And there it looks like he's cleaned up the... that's the paint on the passenger side, I guess. So there's some chrome. Or maybe, there's some chrome somewhere. I don't know if that's the roof line. It's hard to tell from that picture, but looks like he's trying to clean it up and see what he can save with it. Let's see. Dave Britton filled up yesterday at $1.69 a liter or $6.40 a gallon U.S. Insane. That is insane. And Jerry says, oof. 314 here in Dallas-Fort Worth. Yeah, you know why? Because you have those stinking high temperatures. That's why. It's a trade-off. If you want to have nice temperatures, no, I don't know. That's crazy. I mean, 314, that's a great price, but 6 whatever, yeah, that's way too high. Nick, get you a big old snow shovel and pop rivet on that sucker. Hey, there you go. Nick says, what's up, Jake? Dave Britton says, hi, Jake. Yep. Derek says, email should have come through. Yeah, got it. Richard, LS Studi might improve its value and be a good daily if you wanted. That is true. That is true. Nick, yeah, I'm sort of anti-LS because it gets shoved down your throat almost, but I think that would be a perfect engine for that Studi. You never know. You never know. It's original 3-speed on a column car. My brother put a 4-speed in it. I like the idea of keeping it as a 4-speed. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of adapter out there. I don't know. Right now, I want to keep the 280, the Studebaker 289 that's in it. Unless I get really frustrated, decide, you know what, I'm done, and pull it out of there. Dave Tyson, 409 a gallon in Minnesota. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. We need to thank Brandon. Don't forget to thank Brandon. Nick, I'm not going to lie. Houston was the most miserable weather I ever felt. It was like that level in Mario. It was like that level in Mario, most definitely. Okay. Oil lower prices in Texas could be because the refinery is closer or oil is everywhere. Yeah, could be. Or it could be it's just hot and that's a trade off. We want you to stay here, so we're going to lower the gas prices so you won't leave. Just my thoughts. Okay, so I wanted to bring this up for just a second. I had some questions about the. Let me get this. Hold on just a second. Doyle says lower prices in Texas. Oh yeah, and Nick says I'll send you a Wuhan hairdryer to tempt you. Tempt you, I guess. Yeah. Derek says the shiny section is the section from the roof down on the quarter behind the door. Buff to check color. Will come out great once all polished. Yes. Chris, I reprimed the rims twice now, and the primer is cracked along the rims edges. Found out there was a fine line of silicone, so sanding and repriming for a temp 3. Yeah, silicone is like the worst thing. The worst thing when it comes to paint. Raleigh, speaking of weather, was looking at Lee. I swear sometimes the weather folks want it to turn in and destroy things. Oh yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Makes for new bad news to report. Jerry says Robert would pay double if it meant leaving Texas. I believe that. I really do. Richard, any new progress on Slither? Yeah, I did a video last week. No, I didn't. This week, no, I don't have anything to show. I'm the next phase. Well, let me bring this up. So Charles has thought it over, and I've agree with him on this. We were going to save the B pillar from his car, and at this point, we agree that it's probably not worth the effort. And so we're going to keep the B pillar that's in the car, which is good because now we don't have to worry about something getting switched around or moved or causing problems. So, since you brought that up, there are several things that I have in mind to address with Slither. Obviously, I want to get the roof welded in, or get the cross structure welded in, the header panels, and I'll probably do that again this week. But something else I'm going to have to deal with, and this is where I talk about sequence is scored, right? So the discussion has been putting in the frame connectors. The frame connectors right now, there's nothing tweaking or pulling on the body or changing dimensions, nothing. There's no front end hanging off of it. And so the frame connectors, because they're those ones that are going to kind of slip up in, we can put those in really at any time. So I may end up putting the frame connectors in next, okay? Or I may try to do some work on the mini tubs. As it is, when you do a mini tub kit, normally you have the quarter panels, wheel houses, everything is in place. And then you cut stuff away to put in the mini tubs. Well, we have the advantage at this point of nothing is welded in. Nothing is restricting us. So I'm going to look at what it's going to take to make the mini tubs work and make those fit. In fact, on the floor over here, I did a video for Patreon. So in my Patreon video, I talked about this. This is the mini tub, and you can see this is for the driver's side. So it has the flange here that mates to the floor pan, and then it has this wide section on top here. Now, I pointed out in that video, it'd be nice to have a vertical flange so you get the dimensions right, but it's up to us to make that dimension happen. So that's why they make this flange so you can adjust it in and out. The other part of doing the mini tub, this is Detroit Speed, by the way. I think Nick asked. Detroit Speed. So we have the mini tubs, and we also have, this is part of the frame kit. So this is for the driver's side. This is going to fit the forward section where the how do I want to say it? The arch above the rear axle comes up, right? So it's going to come up, and this is going to merge into that. And then this back section here, this offset, when it meets the frame rail, this is going to go inboard of the old frame rail section, and then you cut the frame rail you're keeping, you cut at an angle so that this boxes into that. There's obviously a lot of instructions and all that, but this is going to be part of the process. So I have to kind of go back and forth a little bit. Test fit. Oh, you know what? I forgot I have a T-shirt. Hold on just a second. See if I can't get a T-shirt delivered. Okay, but you have to. There's a lot of things you want to have interacting, right? So if you have the quarter panels welded, you can do it with everything welded in, but we have some other designs that are going to be involved with this. So it's kind of like, well, you put in this, and then you put in this, and then you change that, and you change this. There's going to be a lot of playing around with the with everything. I won't go into too many details, but there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going into making it all happen. So I can't weld the quarter panels on yet. I can't weld the outer wheel houses in place. I can't weld the inner wheel houses because we're not even using them. So you see where this is going. This is kind of it's almost like sometimes just an example, like on an airplane, if you're building an airplane, you don't start at the nose. You create a datum line, and that datum line is usually 20 feet to the front of the nose. Let's just say 20 feet, right? And then from that point in space, you measure back to the nose, and that becomes negative 20, or however you want to look at it, positive 20. And then from there, you go on back. The reason for that is if you redesign the airplane, and your 0 point is the nose, and you want to extend the plane forward, now you've got numbers going the wrong way, right? If you made a bigger plane. But if you make that the 0 point 20 feet ahead, and just say you're at plus 20 at the nose, now when you change, it doesn't change everything past the where the nose is. So if the cockpit is at 24, now the cockpit can be at 4. Let's say you want to move it 20 feet forward. So it just keeps everything in a nice tight sequence. So that's kind of how I look at it with the car. There is a point where you need to start from, and it might be, again, measuring off into space somewhere to come back and get where you want to be. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm trying to make it understandable, but you get I hope you get the idea. You can't always start with the outside of the car and go, okay, I'm going to go this way. You need to maybe start a further distance away to keep your numbers in check. Just saying. I know it makes sense with airplanes. Nick said right here, right, that you're going to do a few mods to that Slither project. Did you ever say what they were? Well, there you go. Part of it is going to be the frame connectors, the mini tubs, and there may be some other stuff going on. And he did ask about the mini tub kit. So there you go. Detroit Speed. Gig'em. So just got a Gig'em Drive, I should say. So just got a 65 Mustang Fastback. Do you believe that 17 by 8 wheel fit with 225, 45 0 17 tires, seeing that Revology Mustangs are using a size on the ones they build as new? I can tell you this. On the 68 that I have, and I know it's a different car, but on the 68 I actually have 17 by 9s in the back and 17 by 8s up front. A lot of it has to do with, one, the rear axle that's in the car and whether you have space with the width of the offsets. Okay, so that's one thing to consider. But I can't say for sure that they'll fit without knowing if there's any other modifications. I don't know what Revology does if they modify their suspension. I know they think they put a Mustang 2 style front end in it, but I don't know what else they do. If they have a narrowed rear end, I don't know their specifics. But I mean, it may or may not fit in the stock configuration. I can't say for sure. Nick says looks familiar. Okay. William, Jim Cantor of the Weather Channel is poking pins in his Hurricane Voodoo doll right now with his football helmet on. He's an idiot. Okay. Chris, the guy said they were ready to paint. I guess the sandblaster who did this rim laid silicone in the grooves. Really irritated me, but it's a learning curve. Okay. Evans, I've heard you want the complete car on its suspension before installing frame connectors. I was looking at doing mine while I had the floor off, but we'll wait. Yes, we've talked about this. Now, the thing is, I guess I can look at it from both sides of it. Yes, you want to wait on the car. But I guess the reality is there's nothing on it now. There's no weight pushing it any different direction. It's on a jig. So you would assume, I know how that works, you would assume that that would put it in the right space for everything to connect. I will say, I will be test fitting these frame connectors. I'm not just going to shove them up in there and start welding stuff together. I will try to, if I need be, come up with a clamping system to push it tight where it needs to be or adjust whatever I need to make it fit. But yeah, it's I understand where they're coming from with the full suspension on it. Nick, yep, it's a fun kit to install. Okay. Says actually all of their stuff is amazing. Yeah, I've done Detroit Speed on the Camaro, one of the Camaros I did. And I think I did a pretty good video on that. Dave Tyson, I have a 17 by 9.5 wheel, rim, 24, blah, 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 tire on 66 Mustang. So there's some information for, where's it at? Gig'em Drive. I don't know what the offset is. That always comes into play as well. Thank you, Dave. Derek, that will look awesome when done. You guys have all the gear there. We aren't able to do any of that unless it's full engineered and certified. Big bucks for us. I'm jealous. I'm sorry to hear that. You could move to America. Michael Pagliarini says Godzilla. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Did I say something out of ordinary? Richard will remind you to always wax and grease paint projects, Chris. Never trust anyone else. Always do your own prep. That is true. Yeah. It's a learning curve. Tommy says, what is the benefit of the mini tubs? Well, you can put fatter tires under the back. So the mini tub, it moves the inner wheelhouse inboard. So you could put a much wider tire underneath the back. Your limit is the way that frame rail angles back, and so the wheelhouse can only go over so far. But by moving that geometry over, you can put that larger inner wheelhouse in place, and it'll allow for a bigger tire. Clark Clifford says, hi, Barry. Hi, Clark. Glad you're here. Chris pairs out to Steve Magnanti. I don't know who that is. Charles, reference mini tubs. They key off the outside inside wheel tub flange intersection. Of course, the inside of the mini tub references off the new frame piece. Yes. Yes. Richard, you want an old car on its weight to make sure it's not flexing. All fresh metal, it does not matter if the rails are where they go. That makes sense. That does make sense. Hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a good point. Dawn, the TrueTrack differential in Betsy doesn't like to turn right. Anyone have experience or problems with those? I don't, but that's a good question. Okay, I'm going to go on to what I wanted to talk about earlier. Yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, I messaged Rick Schmidt. Yeah, the owner of NPD. And he, a great guy. I can't say enough about him. He really does go out of his way to help and resolve problems. So I'd sent him some pictures, and I was referencing the quarter panels that are on Slither. And I was talking about the top section where it meets the inner structure and how there's a bit of a joggle there and it creates a gap. And so Rick didn't have an answer. And I was hoping he might, but he didn't, because he doesn't actually do this stuff. I mean, he may have at some point, but he doesn't do it now. And the funny part was, he said, I'll connect you with somebody else who is building a 69 from the NPD catalog. Straight up buying all the parts right out of the NPD catalog. And I thought, oh, okay, that sounds great. It would be nice to talk to somebody who has some experience with these, who's been doing this sort of work. And I thought, that'll be fantastic. So he actually connected me with this other person. And I thought, well, we ended up talking on the phone today. And I said, hey, I sent him some pictures, and I said, this is what I'm looking at, dealing with. And do you have any insight into this? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I've never looked at that. And I thought, wait a minute, what? You never looked at that? And he said, let me put the roof on and because he's similar to where we're at right now. He said, so I heard him putting a roof on a car. And he said, yeah, that lines up with the roof, and I think you just leave a gap underneath where the flange is. And I said, no, that should be mated together. That's structural integrity of the car. You don't leave a gap between two flanges. Just don't do that. Well, in all respect to him, and Rick didn't know what this guy's history was. I said, how many Mustangs have you built? And he said, oh, this is the first one. And I was like, how many cars have you built? And he's like, oh, this is the first one. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, I told him I had a YouTube channel, and he's like, oh, I do YouTube too. And I thought, oh, okay, great. Well, anyway, so we're talking, and I come to find out he's never done any of this, like, ever. He's starting. He basically had a rusted up 69 that he cut up to make to rebuild. And so I said, okay. I told him my YouTube channel. He said, oh, I never heard of you. I'm like, yeah, that figures. He said, but he had seen Peterson Restoration. I said, well, Peterson does a pretty good job. He doesn't go into, my opinion, as much detail as I do and try to give some insight and ways to solve problems, right? I know he does a good job putting stuff together. And so, anyway, I just, I was talking to him, and he started asking me questions. I said, okay. I said, well, maybe you should look at my channel and look at my videos. I said, I have like probably 1,200 videos on YouTube of various stuff going on. He's like, oh. He said, I think I have 12. So I know Rick had the right idea. He knows that this guy's doing this. but I guess maybe Rick didn't know his experience level, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad he's doing it, but he didn't have, really the answers that I was looking for, and I already have a solution in mind. I'm going to remedy all that, but I just kind of wanted to talk to somebody who may have done it before or may have dealt with that scenario in that quarter panel. So anyway, I just thought it was funny. Michael says engine going in the Cobra, Ford Godzilla. No, it's going to be a Board and Stroke 390 from what I understand. Evan says, Richard, good call. That makes sense. Well, yeah. Yeah, he's right. Talking about the flex of the old body. Yeah. Derek, I wish for car guys the U.S. is heaven. I could even put the LS in the Subaru. Yes, you could. Chris says, want to see flexing? Buy a 65 to 68 Mercury full-size convertible. Lift it up and watch the doors open up by themselves. Yeah. I've seen that happen with a Mustang 68 convertible. Nick says, as long as the front end bolts up to the export brace without forcing it and the toe boards, torque boxes, and firewall are okay, just need to level the car and leave the export brace on. Yeah. Richard says, first one. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, pretty much. Evan, no, in Barry we trust. Yes, thank you, Evan. Nick, on jack stands by the pinch welds, that is. Yeah, well, I mean, the car right now, I'm still on my jig, so I don't see any issue with putting the frame connectors in. It'd be just almost like putting it on just the bare floor pan, brand new, out of the box. So I don't see it being a concern at this point. Richard says, Barry, don't worry about the flanges on each side being like they are. Just double check your door gaps, etc. From front pillar to B pillar and convince yourself it's fine. Yeah, no. No, it'll be welded together just like the factory, if not better. Oh, Charles, I'm sorry. I said board and stroke 390, board and stroke 427, either 482 or 511 with dual quad EFI. Yes. Thank you for clearing that up, Charles. I don't know why I keep wanting to think 390. I think they share the same basic block. I think FE. I think. I don't really know. Now, I sent my wife a message. She was supposed to bring me out a shirt. I had a shirt made from a design that Andrew from Grease Rookie Garage. And I don't know. Let me see if I can get it in this one. She's ignoring me, I think. But anyway, I want somebody to bring it out. So I had the shirt printed, and I was going to wear it tonight, and it's a small. There's no way I ordered a small, but it's a small shirt. Hang on just a second. Hang on. Okay. They're sitting outside, not paying attention to the phone or any stuff going on. Derek says, good T-shirt, Evan. In Barry we trust. Goodbye to the rust. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. That is an awesome, logo. Yeah. In Barry we trust. Goodbye to the rust. I like that. Rich says no. The way the two flanges ended up in two different spots on the inner structure lengthwise. I thought that's what you referred to. No, what I was talking about is where there's a joggle at the top where the roof sits down inside. Okay, and that joggle pushes the roof, or pushes the quarter panel away from the flange for the interstructure. So you end up with this gap between them. Okay, and I showed it in the video, but it can't be that way because you can't have a gap between the two flanges. So the perimeter for the glass and the inner structure, there's no way you can have a gap between those two. So that'll have to be addressed. Nick says I'd buy it. Okay. In Barry We Trust, goodbye to the rust. You know, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let me show you this shirt. Now, again, Andrew designed this thing for me, and everybody, I know you like this, but this is a small. I'm not going to put it on. How about that? So now, when I put this on the Teespring whatever site, I thought it would look good up here in the front, and he put the Joe Daddy's Garage on the bottom. Tell me if that makes sense to have it on the front. I think it does, rather than the back. I could put it on the back, but I think it looks. You tell me. You tell me which looks better, front or back. Because currently I have these on Teespring in this configuration where they're on the front, but I could probably put it on the back if it need be. Richard says 427 does not need two fours. Put one good 4-barrel on it that is easy to tune. Well, it's going to have the EFI. Nick, oh come on, put it on. Yeah. I'll send it to you, Nick. I'm not going to squeeze into that thing. Charles, the thumbnail beside my name is the 427 medium riser tunnel to wedge dual quad intake with the two EFI units on it. So there you go. Dave Britton says on the front. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Richard, that is an awesome t-shirt. Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, these are on Teespring right now. Because I doubt that anybody else says that. And the other one I should probably make sequences scored. I should probably put that on a shirt as well. Richard, you're not going to test fit shirt. Nope. Derek, very nice. You can't stress that enough. Maybe also a shirt with that on the back on our idea on the front. In Barry We Trust, goodbye to the rust. You know, that's not a... I might have to play with that. That's not a bad idea. Nick, if the ink is thick front only, I hate that feeling on my back from stiff ink. It's not actually. It's pretty. It's not very stiff. But I can't tell you for sure because I'm not putting this shirt on. Evan says that on the back, your logo on the front, upper chest. Okay. Well, I have the other shirts that I don't have out here with me. I don't think I have any pictures of them. The other shirts I have with the stuff on the back, and then I have the like a Joe Daddy's Garage over here. You know, not the logo, but I have the wording. Same, Joe Daddy's Garage up here on the top. Nick says it would be a sports bra on me. Yeah. Dave, you could put the small on the flex. It would look like the Hulk ripping out of his clothes. Yeah, I'll put the small on and then flex. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Crusher, I was just going to say she was probably helping your son on his car. Well, they're sitting outside, I think, enjoying the cooler weather at this point. So, yeah, and I don't blame them. It is getting to be much nicer out. But I do have, like I said, I have those shirts. I have this one, and I could do it both ways. I could do one where it's on the front and I could make one where it's on the back. There's no limit as to what I can put on there. So I'll have to look into that. But there's this one. There's the one that says Gasoline Forever, and one that has Joe Daddy's Garage and a car doing a burnout. So Derek says wearing that kind of shirt at swap meet car shows would stand out badly. Advertising. Yeah. I don't know if you mean badly, like don't do it. Evan, got a scoot. Have a great night, all. You too. Glad you're here. Glad you were here, I should say. Nick, have a good night, Evan and Derek. Even banners for the workshop would be a great idea. Yeah, that's true. I have that banner up there. Oh, and Derek says in a good way it would turn heads. Yeah, yeah. I may. I mean, I can have this on a poster. I can put it on a variety of things. I could even put it on a coffee cup like this right here. You know. So I'll play around with it. Next says, yeah, I want a banner. He says hide is what he's trying to say. Hide my crappy walls for one. Okay. Well, what I can do, I can put it on a t-shirt. I mean, I can put it on a poster type of thing. I'll look at what's available on there, because there's a bunch of different stuff that you can put it on. And I mean, I've had people click on stuff, and I don't know if I have very little control over the pricing of what they put up there. I try to not go with the most expensive things that they have. It's really not, it's kind of out of my control. Now I can might be able to adjust some of the pricing a little bit on some of it, but I don't know for sure. Dave says, hey Barry, I'm curious what color of tea sells the most. That's a good question. That is a good question. I haven't been selling a lot. So I can't really say for sure. I try to get them in different colors. Like this I put it in black because it was simple. And then I have the other ones in blue and tan, but yeah. I don't know for sure. Richard, so why the 10th Mountain Flag? That what you did or someone else? I'm 5 minutes from the base. Okay, so I've talked about it before. 10th Mountain Division. I was in HHC 214, 85 to 88. I was there when they activated. 2nd Battalion, 14th Infantry Regiment. Basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. And then people don't know this. A lot of people, even in 10th Mountain, don't want to broadcast this. 214 and 314 were stationed at Sand Hill at Fort Benning for 3 years. Fort Drum was not ready for us. So we spent all 3 years stationed at Sand Hill at Fort Benning. So I have like a 10th Mountain mug that says 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum, New York. I actually want to make one of my mugs on Teespring that says 10th Mountain Division, Sand Hill, Fort Benning. Now, people might get upset with that, but the truth is 214 and 314 were the only ones ever there. So we were there. Basically, we finished basic, came back from leave for Christmas, and so when we came back January 1 of 86, we were stationed in Building 3210 at Sand Hill. That's our history, 3210. And once 214 and 314 left there, then they went to New York. And we never made it to Drum. Most of us. Never made it to Drum. So, anyway, that's the story of 10th Mountain. I was a mortar gunner, headquarters company, mortar platoon. That's why I don't hear so good. But thank you. Good question. Nick says, I want the new saying, and you're busy looking like Ben Franklin on a Hondo. What? Derek says free shipping to Australia. I don't know how they do it. So, okay, bust. What are we talking about, Nick? Bust. What? I want the new saying, and you're, I guess, bust, looking like Ben Franklin on a Hondo. I'm lost. I'm lost, Nick. Sounds great, though. Charles, another aspect of my build is what Ford should have done. Dual EFI are computer controlled and self tuning for the most part, much superior to carbs. Yep. Richard, Sand Hill. It's not, be careful there. It's Hua. There's no R. You almost got marine thing going there. Almost. Nick, man, my spell check is a hater tonight. I'll buy one tomorrow when I get my check. Support my dude and my man boobs with an extra small test fit shirt. Richard, I didn't know 10th Mountain was at Benning when I was there. Yep, I've got plenty of pictures to prove it. All of us at 3210. You could look us up. 3210 was straight across from the PX that was there. We spent a lot of time in both those locations. Derek says Nick's tripping. Yeah, he is. Richard, I did FTC for heavy mortar before. Oh wait, fire direction control for heavy mortar before ammo is transferred into 19K tanker. Okay. Nick's Nick says make it look like a dang $100 bill. Okay. So instead of Ben Franklin, you want my image inside of the $100 bill. Okay. Richard says, thank you for your service, Barry. Well, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Dave Tyson says, $100 bill. Got it. Nick says, geez Louise. Okay. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Clark Clifford, Harmony Church here. Yep. You were in the old barracks. We were in the starships. Michael says, Holly Sniper. I guess he's asking Charles. Richard, if you know Sand Hill, you were at Benning. No proof needed. Yeah. Oh yeah. We spent plenty of time at Sand Hill, and of course we trained all over the place. So Ray Buckman says, evening all, forgot it was Monday. Okay. Glad you're here, Ray. Yeah, Richard. So it's funny though, down in the hill, down over the hill, there was a gym for, just basketball and different things like that. And I'll never forget, there was the guy running the gym was a former NFL lineman for the Raiders. And his name was Otis Sistrunk. Big dude. Big dude. But that's what he did. He ran the gym. I don't know what the name of the gym was, but it was down over the hill. So, yeah, Otis Sistrunk. Big dude. And Charles says, yes, Holly Snipers. Richard, yeah, in late 80s, the starships had already landed. Yep. Nick, gotta go. Been fun. Glad you're here, Nick. Derek says, good idea, Nick. With the logo, remember, in Barry, we trust goodbye to the rust. Yeah. I like it. Roger says, good night, Nick. Chris, in my opinion, EFI is only efficient and effective for guys who can't read plugs or tell if they're lean or heavy. Well, it depends on what you're doing. The fuel injection stuff, everything modern car is fantastic. You can start it up and go. And so there's definitely value to that. Now, I don't know how many people want to be pulling spark plugs and play around with that stuff over and over and over. So there's value to both, but I'm not gonna say, well, this is better or that is better because they both have their place. So, Richard says near reception station or other side of the hill. I think it was the other side. So like they had the, I'm trying to visualize it. You know, if you had building 3210 and the PX was straight across the street, to the left you go up the hill and there was an old wooden church up there, and to the right you went down over the hill, and that's where the gym was. In fact, the movie theater I was in D31. It was where I went through basic training, D31, and it was right next to the little movie theater, and then up on top of the big hill was the NCO club. So I remember all that stuff. Doyle says Nick said Hondo. I was thinking of John Wayne movie, or he meant Honda. Yeah, kids these days, I don't know what they're talking about. Chris, EFI on an old car though. Well, I mean, there's still a place for it. Derek, see you, Barry, and guys, have a great week. Had a great laugh. Thank you, Derek. Richard says, sorry, done asking old base questions, just bring back memories. Those are some of my favorite memories ever. So, yeah. And, oh yeah, my basic was right there in 245. Okay. Chris, EFI, the technology is too fragile and vulnerable to damage off the get-go. You can throw quadrojets at a wall and it still works. I wouldn't go that far, but I understand where you're coming from. But there is definitely value in both. They've been using that fuel injection stuff for quite a while. Richard says 254. Okay, 254. And Charles, computer constantly monitors everything and adjusts the air fuel ratio to keep everything happy. Yep. Okay. I'm now getting to the point where my voice is starting to go. We've had some good laughs. We have, thanks to Nick. And some great ideas for future possible T-shirts. I will look at what I can do to make different versions of the test fit. And who knows, I might come up with something else later on. But right now, that's where we're at. The next sequence in the Slither build, of course, is trying to get a lot of these secondary pieces to interact and work well together. So we'll have to see how that goes, but it'll be good. So that'll be it for tonight, and I do plan to be back next week at 7:00. That'll be the 18th, and I hope everybody has a good week. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.